What if I told you you vanish every moment and reappear in a brand new universe as a brand new person? This is Katcha Fagan, a mentor of mystical thought whose life was sadly cut short by the Nazis in 1941. The Latvian town of Riga, or 5 years before that, in 1936, he wrote an article explaining exactly how this works. The universe is constantly vanishing and reappearing. That would mean that in the 20 seconds that passed in this video, you as well as me have vanished and reappeared approximately 1 trillion times. But it doesn't stop there. This applies to all the trillions of cells in you and in me, and all the atoms that create the structure around us, including the radio waves and signals floating around. This is an idea that once you get it, seems impossible to see otherwise. And it includes the 8 billion people in this world, including the trillions of stars and galaxies in outer space. By the way, this is one of my favorite topics, but I reached out to this guy, Moshe Vyshetsky, who did all the research on this topic, and will be presenting it to you in this video. We'll be exploring 4 levels to understand this, easy to hard. When watching this video, please be open to hearing mind-boggling new ideas. We humans build things all the time. We create buildings, music, and tools. We buy them, we sell them, and they continue existing on their own. If you build a building, it can exist even when you walk away. If you design a painting or any other human creation, we don't need to be there to ensure it exists. Not only that, in many cases, things we create as humans continue to exist far after we rot in our graves. But that's all because, as humans, we haven't really created anything new. Instead, we've simply taken existing materials and manipulated their composition. Even a chemist who changes the very elements and atomic structure of things has done only that, changed their positioning. But is this the same as God's creating of the world? At all not. God created something ex nihilo, which is the Latin term for out of nothing. It's fundamentally created out of scratch, absolute scratch. God created limited time and space from nothing. Atoms and oranges, humans and elephants, from nothing. If so, can God just create it and walk away? Let's analyze this together. Let's go back to talking about something from something. Something from something can stay, but something from nothing must immediately vanish. Why? Well, we'll be discussing this question in the following stages of this video, and we'll compare it to this. It's kind of like if you're holding a cup of water in your hand, you can't let go. If you let go, it's gonna fall and break and all the water is gonna spill. Same with this universe. It has no ability to exist on its own, so God must continue holding it constantly, or else it will simply stop existing. Or you know what? Let me show you what our expert on the topic has to say. And please excuse his phrasing, he's not a native English speaker.
Simple examples: if someone's throwing a stone, throwing a rock to the air, it depends how strong he is and how much power invested in this action, but it's gonna continue flying, going upwards only for a certain amount of time, and then it will necessarily go down. So to consider says about the creation, that yes, we are not saying obviously God creates the world, but it's only as long as his godly power is invested in the creation. The second his power will remove itself from the creation of the world would stop existing.
That was level 1, and it's a fundamental teaching of modern Kabbalah, penned by the great teacher and scholar known as the Alter Rebbe. And before you start accusing me that this makes no sense, because cups and stones have a nature, gravity, while this universe has no prior nature. Hold on a second, you have a point, but you're not alone. This is exactly what Moshe was going to say before I interrupted him.
Obviously, what we have to try to understand is what's the comparison? How is the creation of the world similar to this action of throwing a rock?
An anonymous student asks precisely this question in a Kabbalistic publication printed in,
Maybe more so in the 1935, 1936, during those years, and until the war.
The question is
A very, very strong question, which actually
got the attention of a handful of mentors whose clarifications will be presented in levels 2 and 3 in this video. Let's go. Okay, now level 2. And if you're liking the video, please hit that like button down there. Sholem Posner wrote an answer to this question in a later episode of the publication, which was unfortunately discontinued due to the oncoming World War II. It goes as follows.
Before the creation of the physical world, the entire physicality, we know that the world did not exist, but the only existence, the only true existence, the only truth which was here was God himself. God and what we would to speak wider, godliness, which is what we could call spirituality.
Got it? God created this universe not from nothing, but from his infinite spirituality. If time, space, and physical reality are created from infinite spiritual energy, well, then they're being manipulated from something that they were not initially. The raw material, so to speak, which is really spirituality, will return to its natural state immediately once it's left to be.
And therefore, although it's created, it's only a technical existence against an essential not-existence.
I sometimes think of this like creating a stone in your imagination. The moment you stop imagining the stone, it disappears. By the way, major disclaimer before we get to level 3. These ideas are really deep and took me many hours of thinking. When you're done watching this video, please take some time to think about the ideas, challenge them, write them down, and please ask any questions in the comments. Alright, now let's dive into level 3. Summer 1936. The 5th episode of the Hatamim Journal was released. On page 60, a response by Katcha Fagan can be found. He was actually one of the editors of the journal, and we'll be talking about his life later, after step 4. He takes an interesting approach. He explains that physical things essentially have no ability to exist, regardless of any outside logic or cause. In other words, the idea of physicality itself, as we know it, cannot exist, regardless of its pre-nature in spirituality. If you like deeper philosophical topics, this is for you. Now, even Moshe agrees that
it's a little hard to understand on its own. And to understand it, we have to go a little further.
So let's get a little deeper here. Let's talk about what it means to exist, what it means to be real, what it means to be fake, why and how anything exists. Things that are real exist on their own and must essentially be the way they are. For example, the logical argument of 2 + 2 = 4, or the logical fact that a parent must come before their child. A cause precedes its effect. These are things that are just real and exist. Now, how about 2 + 2 = 17? Is that real? No, it's fake. Is there a reason that makes it be fake or non-existent? Or is it just that this idea of 2 + 2 = 17 is simply non-existent because it's not real? Well, creation by God does exactly this action. It takes something that is simply non-existent and places it into being. So 2 + 2 = 17 is non-existent, but as long as we're relying on an infinite power, putting it into being, it remains. The moment we expect the idea to exist on its own, it simply cannot, because on its own, it essentially is non-existent. This is exactly what's happening with physicality. Before it exists, there's nothing. No space, no time, no physicality. Once it's created, the entire idea of creation relies on the infinite spiritual power to remain here. Listen to how Moshe articulates this.
The existence of the world is something which is essentially not here. And it's all the world will never be here. Not because we have a problem with something which makes it not to be here, rather because why would it be here altogether? Right. Therefore, once godly power will be removed from the creation, it's gonna disappear.
That was stage 3. But even this has a problem. You see, in step 2 we discovered that reality reverts back to its state in spirituality. In step 3, we realized that physicality, even on its own, would need to vanish. But wait a second. Who is creating physicality? It's God. So can we really use this logic? We used 2 + 2 = 17, but we humans don't have the ability in our minds to even imagine that. But if God managed to create physicality even though it's a lie, obviously he has the ability to perform the unimaginable. If so, who says he cannot make us exist on our own? Maybe he can simply permanently place us into being. To that, the response is actually interesting. This is the final stage, stage 4. Remember the analogy of a person tossing a stone into the air? The stone will fall without the human energy remaining in it.
The idea we're trying to learn out from this example is that when my power does something, even if it's strong enough to make it happen, it cannot make it, it cannot give it an existence on its own.
Now here's an interesting question for you.
God is so strong. God could do anything. So why does he have to create the world altogether? Let him not do anything, not create the world, and the world will be created on its own.
Good question, right? Or not? Look how.
And nobody has such a question. And the reason why nobody has such a question is because creating the world, creating is using his unlimited power. That's what creation is all about. Not creating means that God does not use his power.
So obviously if God doesn't create the universe, then it's not going to begin existing on its own, like we elaborated in step 3. So it's true that God could do everything, but it's God that can do everything. You can't say that just because God can do everything, therefore the universe should just appear. What, like mistakenly, without God's involvement? Then that's not God.
For the world to exist because of God's unlimited and beyond anything power, God's power has to be in it.
But the moment you tell me that God should create the universe with his power, but that it should remain on its own, it's really just like saying that God should make the world just be created on its own. It's God that has the infinite power to do anything, even the impossible. The physical and the limited cannot exist on its own. The impossible is being performed by God, and it's a constant performance of the impossible. I'm going off script here for a second to address one thing. This entire discussion was obviously just what we understand in our human brains. But the beauty of this entire conversation is that we can understand that in our human brains, we realize that we are totally and utterly reliant on God for our existence. Every moment and every fabric that we are made of. Before we get to Katcha Fagan and a bit of his life story, if you like this type of videos, don't forget to subscribe. Katcha Fagan, together with his wife and children, were murdered by the Nazis in the Rambula massacre in 1941, together with 25,000 Jews. He was the principal of several yeshiva academies which focused on the teachings and applications of Kabbalah. The academies were forced to move several times due to different types of persecution, mainly from the notorious Soviet secret police, the KGB. He actually visited the USA in 1930. He got hold of permits to get to America, but the war was moving too quickly and got him first. You can learn more about the teachings and lives of these personalities by checking out some more of the videos on this channel. If you appreciate what we're doing on this channel and you'd like to support us and join one of our membership clubs, check out the links in the description with buymeacoffee.com or Patreon and see what fits for you. Take care, thank you for watching, and see you next time.